Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins isn't just one of the absolute best games for the original Game Boy, it's also the debut of Nintendo's most popular anti-hero, Wario. The original Super Mario Land was one of the first 4 games that launched with the Game Boy when it hit store shelves in July of 1989, and while Mario Land easily outsold Alleyway and Baseball, it was the surprise hit from the Soviet Union, Tetris, that was the hottest title for the Game Boy. This addictive block-dropping puzzler was the perfect thing for playing on the go. Super Mario Land may have been overshadowed by Tetris, but it still sold over 18 million copies, making it the 4th best-selling Game Boy title of all time. So of course Nintendo had to follow it up with a sequel. The task was assigned to Nintendo's R&D 1 division, which was led by the father of the Game Boy himself, the late Gunpei Yokoi, who would serve as producer for the new game. And he would have his work cut out for him because many members of R&D 1 didn't want to make a new Mario game and were perhaps hoping to make something more innovative and original. But director Hiroji Kiyotaka had a solution. The team would make the new Mario game their way and wouldn't be bound by the conventions of the previous Mario games. Kiyotaka had previously served as a director for Metroid 2: The Return of Samus, and had also done art for Dr. Mario, but even more notably, he had worked on the original Metroid and was the designer of series protagonist Samus Aran. Joining Kiyotaka was Takahiko Hosokawa, who just started out as an assistant character designer for Mario Land 2, but was promoted to co-director during development. He would go on to work on many of the Wario Land games, and later would be assistant director for Metroid Dread. The first Super Mario Land features tiny character sprites to accommodate the Game Boy's small screen. For Super Mario Land 2, the graphics got a massive overhaul. Everything is now much bigger, and Mario's character design feels like a monochromatic version of his look in Super Mario World. The game smoothly scrolls to create more space, and has very little blurring for a Game Boy experience. The original Super Mario Land was very linear, but Super Mario Land 2 features a fully functioning world map for you to explore, and unlike many other games in the Super Mario Bros. Franchise, the worlds in this game can be completed in any order. There are a total of 32 levels to play here, and although some of them are optional, that's 20 more than the first game had. This time the cartridge is equipped with a battery to save your game, and it automatically saves your progress, including levels completed, how many lives and coins you have, and it even tracks how many enemies you've defeated. The story of Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins reveals that Mario is the ruler of his own island called Mario Land. While Mario was out saving Princess Daisy in Sarasa Land, Wario, a rival from Mario's childhood, took over Mario's castle and brainwashed the citizens of Mario Land, making them believe that Wario is their true ruler. It's very refreshing to play a Mario game where we are not trying to rescue a princess, and where the antagonist isn't Bowser. Wart, the nightmarish frog that terrorized the denizens of the Subcon in the North American version of Super Mario Bros. 2, had never really caught on, and was rarely seen outside of his debut game, although he did pop up from time to time in the Legend of Zelda series of all places. Tatanga, the boss of the first Super Mario Land, also appears in the sequel, this time as one of the world bosses serving under Wario's command. Wario was designed by director Kiyotaka himself as a foil to Mario, and he may have been inspired by one of his own earlier designs, which was also a foil to Mario. I'm talking about Foreman Spike, the hammer-wielding construction worker that competes with Mario in the bonus stages on the 1985 classic Wrecking Crew. Totaka was originally unsure about the name, which is a play on the Japanese word waroi, which means bad. The W is also just an upside-down M, which is pretty clever. The development team generally liked the name, so it stuck. The soundtrack and sound effects were created by Kazumi Totaka, the composer who also did the music that you hear while you're working in Mario Paint. Some of the music for Super Mario Land 2 is very memorable, while other pieces are less remarkable. Totaka smartly avoided reusing familiar melodies and sound effects because these iconic sounds were hard to perfectly reproduce on the Game Boy and would call attention to its technical limitations. In addition to the classic fireballs, Super Mario Land 2 features a new power-up, the Carrot, which grants Mario the bunny ears. By rapidly tapping the jump button, Mario can flap these ears, allowing him to float through the air, similarly to the raccoon tail from Super Mario Bros. 3. So of course the game was a huge success when it released in North America on November 2nd, 1992. Critics applauded the new look of the graphics, and players were excited to get an all-new Mario game for portable play. Backed up by a marketing campaign that featured print ads and television commercials, the game went on to sell over 11 million copies, making it the 5th best-selling Game Boy title of all time. Pretty good for a sequel. Super Mario Land 2 technically got a sequel of its own on the Game Boy, but it feels more like a spin-off or the beginning of an all-new series. Super Mario Land 3 is Wario Land. Wario Land has 4 numbered entries, but then there's also Wario Land Shake It, and who could forget Wario Land for the Virtual Boy. The series focuses more on exploration than platforming, so if your favorite part of Super Mario World was finding all of the hidden exits, then Wario Land is something you'd probably really like. But Wario wasn't limited to just platforming. Early on, he starred in Wario's Woods, a puzzle game spin-off that was also the last official game released for the NES in its original run. In 2003, Wario was back with another successful series, WarioWare Inc., a creative collection of micro games that you must complete in rapid-fire style while racing a ticking clock. Over time, Wario has solidified his role as a main cast member for the greater Super Mario franchise. He's often included in Mario Kart races, gets invited to Mario parties, and all sorts of other Mario sporting events. Waluigi wasn't created until about 8 years after his counterpart Wario. He was designed by Japanese developer Camelot for Mario Tennis on the Nintendo 64, mostly because they needed a doubles partner for Wario. It has not been officially confirmed that Waluigi is Wario's brother. They might just be evil friends. In modern times, players and critics still appreciate Super Mario Land 2 for being a legitimate Mario experience on a tiny Game Boy cartridge. When IGN released their list of the top Game Boy titles of all time, they ranked Super Mario Land 2 at number 6. If you'd like to play Super Mario Land 2 on a modern platform, as of this recording, it is one of the Game Boy games included as part of the Switch's online service. Modern players that attempt this game will still have to deal with all of the challenges retro games are notorious for. The enemies are vicious, and the levels are filled with deadly traps. Make sure to watch your life total, because if you get game over in Super Mario Land 2, you lose all of your coins. It's brutal. But what if I told you the best way to complete all 32 treacherous levels? What if I showed you tons of secret tricks, including ways to get 99 lives, hidden shortcuts, and even a way to warp directly to the game's ending? And what if I told you the best way to defeat every boss, even Wario himself? Well, on today's episode of You Can Beat Video Games, we'll learn all of that and more. If you're new to the channel, we're doing deep dives on retro video games and giving you the professional strategies that can be used by the casual gamer. Please make sure to subscribe and check out youcanbeatvideogames.com for episode lists, news, and official You Can Beat Video Games merchandise. And please join our Patreon for access to an exclusive Discord community and a chance to vote on future episodes. This episode was suggested and voted on by members of our Patreon community. Let's get started. Alright, Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. Before we jump into the main game, let's take a look at a secret trick. If you're playing on an old enough version of the cartridge, you can hold up on the title screen and then press select, and you'll be taken here to this totally silent demo. I don't want this silence to drive me insane, so I'm going to add some music. Here's the Mario Paint soundtrack. That's better. But if you're playing this on an actual Game Boy, it will be totally silent, and what I want you to see here is if you press enough buttons, eventually the game will freeze up. You need to do it before you actually die in this level or complete it, but let's see, right there it is. Wow, that's a funny place for it to crash. If this happens, you'll just have to reset the game. But that's not the only place we can go from here. If you hold up and B, then press select, you'll be taken to a demo of Turtle Zone 1, and if you die in one of these demos, you'll go back to the title screen. If you hold up, A, and B and press select, you'll be taken to a demo of Macro Zone 1. The fourth demo, if you hold up and A and press select, is the Hippo Stage, and this is one that's quite easy to complete here as a demo. If you can finish it, you just have to fly across the entire thing, you'll be taken into the proper game. Entering the game in this way will cause some interesting glitches with the sound, and there are some other tricks that you can do with it as well, so we will come back to this later. But the best thing about the demo trick is that it's a good way to test and see if your cartridge is old enough to do some of the other tricks. Now let's see, here's what the sound is like if you use the demo glitch to get into the game. It's normal on the map screen, but when you go into a level, silence again. You can save and then reset to fix the sound effects, but for now, let's take a look at another trick. Press the select button on the file menu to turn on easy mode, and then either enter a saved game or start a new one. This will make the levels a tiny bit easier, usually by reducing the number of enemies that you encounter, but it's very noticeable on Wario's castle, where it slows down some of the traps and even adds extra platforms to make this section a lot easier. Some enemies that usually take 2 stomps to defeat will only take 1 on easy mode, and this does not affect the game's ending, so feel free to use it if you need it. If you wait for about 2.5 minutes on the game over screen, you'll hear this. It's called Totaka's song. Composer Kazumi Totaka loves to hide this song in the games that he's worked on, and it's known to be included in at least 25 games, but there could be many more that have never been found. Well, that's enough tricks for now. Let's jump into a new game. Whenever you start up a new game, you'll have to play this introductory level, the Mushroom House. Tap the A button to do a small hop, or hold A and press up to do a big jump. If you release A right at the peak of your jump, you'll jump even higher, but you won't need to be able to do that super jump to finish this game. It's tricky to pull off. You can carry and kick Koopa shells like in many other Mario games, and we'll grab a mushroom here to turn into Super Mario. And once you're big, you can hold down when you jump to do a spin jump, and that can get rid of Koopa shells, or it can defeat enemies that you need to stomp on twice in a single hit. You won't be able to do a spin jump if you're small Mario or in bunny ears form, but you won't find a carrot to become a bunny ears Mario here in the Mushroom House stage. So hit those coin blocks, and here's a flying Goomba. Normally takes 2 hits to defeat, but not with a spin jump, so you'll want to get good with the spin jumps. Don't use them on the piranha plants, that won't work. But over here we can find a heart, which is what 1-ups look like in this game, and then we can grab a Starman. If you hit at least 5 enemies while you're invincible, you'll gain an extra life, and then every other enemy that you run into will be worth another 1-up. So that's a great way to get a few extra lives right here at the very beginning of the game. And here's a fire flower that we can grab so that we can spit fireballs. And if you ring that bell, that is the mid-level checkpoint. So if we do get killed by the enemies here or fall into a pit, that's where we would respawn. Blocks with 2 dots that look like eyes can be cleared out using fireballs. And down here at the bottom of this pipe, we'll be able to grab some coins. Unlike in the other Mario games, if you get 100 coins here, it doesn't give you an extra life. Instead, we'll use those coins to play a slot machine minigame. And if you ring this bell here above the goal, we'll be able to play a different bonus game that can grant us some extra lives or a power-up. Press the button just as the first 3-up heart disappears into the left tube, and you should get an extra life every time. Before we go on, let's talk about increasing the level counter. So if you get to the very end and ring the bonus bell, and then as soon as you get into this bonus stage, you want to be mashing the button so that you press it right away, and that will get you a carrot. Now, after Mario transforms into Bunny Mario, reset the game, and then reload your save, and you'll see that the level counter has ticked up by 1, but we still have to play the Mushroom House. Now, if you want to do this a bunch of times, hit that mid-level bell and then get killed by the enemies, and then every time you restart, you'll restart here near the end of the level, so that'll save you some time. From here, we should be able to get to the end very quickly, and don't forget that each time you do this, you need to ring that bonus bell, and you want to make sure that you get a power-up. So we'll mash the button to get the carrot, and after Mario transforms, that's when you want to reset. If you do it too early, you won't get credit for finishing the level, and the counter won't increase. So you see, we'll have 2 now, and if we keep doing this over and over and over again, eventually we'll be able to bring the counter to a number that it should never reach, a number that's larger than 31. I wish I knew about this trick back in the 90s. I would have definitely asked one of my friends on the school bus if he had found all 35 levels in Super Mario Land 2, and he'd probably still be looking for those last few stages. The highest you can take the level counter is to 99, After that, it'll roll over to 0. Now let's talk about another secret trick we can do, and this one will allow us to get the bunny ears in the intro level. So we're going to be small Mario, and you want to carry a Koopa shell to the bonus bell, ring it, and then release that shell just as you touch the door at the end. You'll come here to the bonus stage, and you want to make sure that you get the carrot. Because we died, after we exit this bonus stage, we'll still be on the Mushroom House level, but now we have the bunny ears, which we were never supposed to have here. No big deal, right? Well, because the programmers didn't anticipate us having the bunny ears, you can jump over the bell and fly to this upper platform above the goal line, and then if you keep jumping and holding down, you'll be able to scroll the screen vertically, and eventually you'll sort of break it, and you'll be able to jump up above the screen, and eventually you'll wrap around to the bottom, and you can enter this pipe, and this gets kind of weird. So now we're collecting coins that aren't really there, and there's another pipe that we can go down. So what happens if we go down into that pipe? Let's find out. Now we're standing on clouds, and there are more invisible coins for us to find, but you will get stuck down here and you'll have to reset the game, so this glitch is just for fun. But what if I told you there was another trick we can do here in the intro level? And this next trick should work on any version of the game. You need to be small Mario, and you want to grab a Koopa shell and stand on this pipe. Throw the shell, and then press down to go into the pipe just as you get hit. If you timed it correctly, you'll hear the sound effect of Mario going into the pipe, and when you re-enter the level, hold left and you'll fall right to the goal. Pretty awesome. Now that we're finished with the introductory level, let's take a look at the map. We can complete these worlds in any order, and we're going to go to the tree zone first, but to do a trick in the first level of the tree zone, we need to start out in the macro zone, so we're going to head over there. Here in the first level of the macro zone, we're going to get hit so that we're small Mario, and then we want to stand on this pipe and go down it just as we get hit by that rock. You'll hear that sound effect of the pipe if you did it correctly. If you think you did it correctly, we can head back to the tree zone now, and whenever we go into the first stage, we should fall through the floor. So let's see if it worked. And it did. We want to hold to the left, and you can see that we land on a weird ledge there, but when we drop down another level, we'll reappear in the tree zone, but for some reason there are no enemies here, but there are no power-ups either. There are coins, so we can collect as many coins as we want, but there's no danger that we're going to die down here, because there's no enemies that can hurt us. So this is a very easy way to finish this first stage. I certainly wouldn't call this a shortcut. I don't think it actually saved us any time, and may have taken more time overall, but it will make this level easier. We can use a similar version of this trick on many of the levels in this game, and we're not going to do it on all of them, but I will highlight some places where true shortcuts can be achieved. Now, as cool as that trick is, let's go back into Tree Zone 1 and complete it the normal way. There are also a lot of good items to find here if we go through the normal way, including this hidden Starman at the very beginning. If we're fast enough, we can clear more than 5 enemies, which will earn us several 1-ups. So that's the 5th one, and a 6th enemy, for a total of 2 extra lives. Pretty good. But if you like extra lives, over here we can find some hidden blocks that you can reveal by jumping in the right spot, and those will get us up to a hidden heart. And that's not the only hidden heart in these parts. If we continue over here to the right, we can find a similar formation of blocks right here, and you'll see a cloud in the background that's sort of pointing like an arrow up into the sky. That's a clue that there might be something hidden up here, and there is. It's that other extra life. The frogs in this level will jump towards Mario whenever he's close enough to them, and this question mark block contains a much needed mushroom. You can still stomp on that enemy even when it's flashing, it's just a warning that he's about to turn into a sphere. Over here we'll find a fire flower, and once we grab it, it'll be time to roast some enemies. You'll know that Mario has the fire ability when he has a transparent feather on his hat. Keep working your way to the right, we'll roast a dragonfly and this guy down here. And sadly, if you want to be able to collect those coins at the bottom, you'll need to be small Mario. Because of the way the spin jump works, it's hard to slide into small spaces as Big Mario in this game. Using the Starman here, we can hit a few more enemies, hopefully more than 5 so we can earn some extra lives. And yeah, we got 3 extra lives this time. We already have 19 in reserve. You do not want to run out of lives in this game. You'll lose all of the coins that you've collected, including the 6 golden coins that you've collected. So running out of lives is a bit of a disaster. We'll take any extra lives we can find. Up here, we'll be able to collect some coins, and you can just hold down the run button to go over those small gaps. And here we'll grab a few more coins in that arrow, but I'm not going all the way back up there just to get the last few. Over here, you can find a hidden one up near the goal line, so don't miss that, and then you can jump into the bonus bell to trigger another bonus stage. This bonus game features mice that are chewing on wires, and you'll need to hit one of the levers, and hopefully you'll get a good prize. If you're small Mario, it can't go wrong, but if you got the mushroom when you had a better power-up, you would lose the power-up that you had. Now, let's talk about a way to reveal an unused room. You'll need to have finished Pumpkin Zone 1, go down into a pipe, and press Start and Select to exit the stage while you're in the pipe. Now we're going to go back to Tree Zone 1, and you need to make sure you have the bunny ears for this. As the stage begins, start mashing the jump button, and you need to mash it fast. Also hold right. You want to try to get as far as you can to the right before the stage transitions downward, and if you get far enough, you'll find this hidden room that the programmers sealed away. For some reason, they decided not to use it, but they didn't remove it entirely. It's still here if you use this trick to find it. Sadly, this trick will only work on older versions of the cartridge, as it was removed from later ones, and when you go through this pipe, you'll come up through the floor, and you'll be back in the normal level. Let's head over to Tree Zone 2. This level brings us inside the big tree, and it's filled with sap that you can swim through like water. The sap also contains some number of moo fishes, and this seems to be a crossbreed between a fish and a cow. Don't ask how that happened. And maybe some sort of mixed scientists were trying to make a fish that tastes like beef, and this is what we got. In any case, you can roast the moo fishes by hitting them with fireballs, or you can simply stomp on their heads to defeat them, even while swimming. One of the greatest dangers in here are the spikes that line parts of the ceiling, because whenever you pop out of the sap, you'll jump out with a good bit of energy, and if you're not careful, you can end up right in those spikes. Over here, we'll see an enemy that we haven't encountered before, the Noko Bombette, and it seems to be related to the Buzzy Beetles from the other Mario games, but if you stomp on it, it turns into a bomb, and after a few seconds, it'll explode. so don't be very close to the Noko Bombette whenever that happens, and we'll head over here where we can tag the bell to create a mid-level checkpoint. It's actually quite easy to drop down between those moo fishes, and in the air here we can find a hidden money bag, which is worth 50 coins. Nice! There are 2 paths that you can take here, and this lower one is the easier of the 2 paths. If you hit this power-up box, you'll find a carrot, and as you float across here, you want to mash the jump button pretty quickly. If you just hold it down, your ears will still flap, but you'll fall faster, and you'll need to bounce off of one of the enemies to stay afloat. Instead, get a big jump going and just rapidly tap that jump button, and you should be able to flap your way completely across to the other side. On the other side of the spikes, we'll find a 1-up heart and a few more coins, and then we'll discover a one-way pipe that takes us back to where the 2 paths converge, right near the goal line. But before we go to the goal, this is one of 6 levels in this game that contains a secret exit, so we're going to find that exit first. You'll need to cross the normal goal line to be able to finish the tree zone, but this secret exit will lead us to an optional bonus level, so we're going to check that out first. You can use your bunny ears to get a heart over on the right side. It's much more difficult to get safely without the ears, and we're going to stomp on this Noko Bombette and move away while it explodes. And then, with a quick flap of the ears, we'll head up through this pipe, which leads to that secret exit. And you'll know that it's a secret exit when you see a door with a star above it. The tree special contains a fire flower, a couple extra lives, and some coins, but perhaps the best thing about it is a chance to raise your enemy's killed counter, which is the one just to the left of the timer. You'll see that we're at 49, 50, and if we keep following this shelf, we'll see that number go up quite a bit. Sadly, chasing behind a Koopa shell like this won't yield any extra lives in this game, but whenever you raise the enemy kill counter from 99 to 100, it'll flip back over to 0, and a Starman will fall out of the sky. So this is a way to get a Starman item in areas that you would not normally be able to find one. Unfortunately, there are no normal enemies in Wario's castle, so we won't be able to generate a Starman there, but it could come in handy in some other locations. Back in Tree Zone 2, you'll notice that we had to start at the beginning, but we hit that mid-level checkpoint bell. Well, it doesn't seem like that bell has any effect unless you lose a life after you hit it. So if we wanted to start there, we should have lost a life before we took the secret exit. So we'll just quickly run through the beginning of this level and work our way back towards the mid-level bell, because that's where the path splits into 2 parts, and this time we're going to explore the upper path instead of the lower one that we took last time. The upper path may be a little bit more challenging, but the lower path does almost force you into taking the carrot item, so if you'd rather stay with the fire flower, maybe the upper path is for you. The path actually splits right after the mid-level checkpoint, so here's the bell, and if you go down there in the water, that'll take you to the lower path, but we're going to stay on top this time. Jump through the sap and grab the coins, and the little bits of sap suspended in the air here should be able to keep you out of the spikes, and luckily there are no spikes on the ceiling here, so you don't have to worry about bumping your head. If you do take some damage, there's another power-up inside that question mark block, and then we're going to just drop down to the right, swim up through the sap, and continue across. Small Mario can take that passage below, but there's nothing hidden there, so we're just going to get rid of that enemy, drop down through the coins, and if you want to grab a 1-up, it's much more difficult without the bunny ears, but it is possible to do without taking a hit. If you do take a hit though, the bonus stage is coming up, so you can always get another power-up there. use the sap to get to the bonus bell, and ring it as you go through the goal door. If you're trying to get extra lives out of this bonus game, wait for that first heart to go completely into the left chute, and as soon as you see it completely disappear, that's when you want to press the button. Next up, we have a choice to make. We can go left or right here, and either direction will bring us to the end of the tree zone, but I think that this level over here on the left is a little bit easier than the one on the right, so we'll take a look at this one first. Be careful not to fall off the bottom here. That's instant death, but the good news is, once you get a little bit higher up into the tree, if you fall down, you should be able to catch yourself on one of the lower platforms, and then you can just work your way back up. There are 5 extra lives to find in here, so even if you do fall off the bottom a few times, you should be able to make up for it. The 4th one up is in a hidden box right here, and we'll find the 5th one a little bit later. For now, we're going to continue working our way over to the left so that we can climb up to the top. The exit is in the upper right corner. In the upper left corner, we'll find a very useful item between these 2 blocks, the carrot. The ability to flutter jump will be extremely helpful here. So we'll go under that piranha plant, but we can still get the coins on the other side, and from here, we just need to go across to the right. But before we go into the goal, there's a hidden money bag just below it, so we'll drop down and flutter over here, and when we hit this question mark block, boom, 50 coins. Getting back to the goal is easy. We'll jump from this block up to these leaves, and then if we can do a super jump, we can reach the bonus bell. So hold up an A, but release A at the peak of your jump to get a little bit higher, and you can keep trying that almost as many times as you want to. You get a lot of time in this game. It is certainly possible to reach this bonus stage without doing the super jump. You just have to take the long way around. Doing the super jump is just a bit of a shortcut, but if you want to see a real shortcut, let's take a look at a faster way to get through Tree Zone 3. Grab the 1-up hidden just above the first question mark block, and then do a big jump up and to the right from that block, rapidly fluttering your bunny ears. If you jumped high enough, you can reach this platform, but even if you don't quite reach it, you should be able to land on one of the platforms just below. From here, climb on that 1-up box, and there's the goal. It's really that simple. That's going to bring us to Tree Zone 5, but we haven't done Tree Zone 4 yet, so let's check that one out. If you finish Tree Zone 3, this one is optional. This is the beehive. You're given a fire flower early on, but many of the enemies here, like this blue bee, are immune to fireballs. So be aware of that. Most of the enemies that appear to be blue on the Game Boy Advance or when using the GameCube's Game Boy player are immune to fireballs, while these orange ones are not. If you're playing on an original Game Boy though, there are no colors, so you'll just have to remember which enemies can be burned and which ones cannot. Wait for this bee to drop down and then quickly run across to the right, and then head through this pipe. Here's another enemy that you can't kill with fireballs, and I don't recommend jumping on that guy either. The center pipe here will take us down to an area with a ton of question mark blocks, and if you can hit one while it still has a coin inside, you can defeat the enemy that's directly on top of it. If you need another flower, you can find one there, and once you grab all the items over on the left, we'll go up through the pipe and back down to the bottom so that we can grab the items over here on the right. This time there's some less dangerous enemies, and there is a star for us to find this time, so we'll use that to give us some invincibility that will make the next part of this stage much easier. So we've taken out one enemy so far, and we'll just plow through these guys. That's 4. Can we get an extra life? You know we can. And there is the mid-level bell, and there's another extra life. But if you like invincibility, there's another star that we can find all the way over on the left side here. So we'll grab that, and then we'll run through these eggs that are being spit out of plants. I didn't think the plants laid eggs, but I guess that's just how it works around here. Over here is the goal line, but that was our 100th enemy, and that was our free Starman. It was definitely not the best place to use it strategically, but we'll always be able to defeat 100 more enemies if we want to do it again. How do we reach the bonus bell here? Well, believe it or not, there's a hidden block right here you can jump on, and that will make it very easy to reach. And once we're through the door, it's time for another mouse chewing bonus stage. And remember, we just want to avoid getting the mushroom here. That would actually be a downgrade. And this time it was an even exchange, a fire flower for a fire flower. But before we go on, let's talk about another glitch. I think this one actually works in later versions of the game, but it's not super useful, it's just interesting. We want to lure one of these bees from up here down the pipe back to the beginning of the stage. And to do that, we'll need to keep going back up and down the pipe, because you need to be in relatively close proximity to that bee for it to keep chasing you. Once you have it down here, keep the chase going and lure the bee over to the left side. There are some sort of random logs and sticks up above the starting point here that seem to be mostly just for decoration. But if you can get a good jump off of this bee while it's pretty high up in the air, you can actually jump up there. We'll jump a few times to make the bee elevate, and that should do it. And now that we're up on the sticks, what's the point of all of this? Well, it's possible to jump up above here, and that will put us into the wall. It's not extremely precise. I'm not sure where the spot is that we need to hit, but just keep working with it and you should be able to get through. And here we are. Once we're in the wall, we'll slide through over to the right, but eventually we'll drop down into the glitched out areas below. The top layer of bricks that you see may not be exactly the same as the one that I have, but the lower bricks are more consistent, and we're looking for this one that sort of looks like the left side of an upward facing pipe. There should be a tile right above it that will clear this stage. And we may have to take a hit first, that's possible. We may need to be doing a spin jump. That's it. We hit the right spot doing the right thing, and it took us to the tree special, which I'll remind you is not actually connected to Tree Zone 4, so that is super weird. But enough of all that, let's take a look at the final stage of the Tree Zone, Tree Zone 5. Ride on this platform to grab the first power-up. You'll be very happy to have fireballs here. You can use it to roast these Goombas, and that will make it easier to get through. You can ride on this owl like a platform, and you'll need to ride on several owls here to get through this stage. So we'll ride this one, and from underneath we can get up onto these question mark blocks, which are easiest to hit with a few spin jumps. Now we're on some moving cloud platforms, and we found the mid-stage checkpoint. The sixth block from the right contains a 1-up here if you're brave enough to hit it with a spin jump, just don't fall through. Over here we'll find a carrot, and that will make navigating these platforms a little bit easier, but it takes away our ability to do a spin jump, which could be problematic. We'll also want to have the fireballs for the boss. So we're going to grab some coins using our bunny ears here, but then we're going to go up through this pipe, and we're going to run across to the right and take a hit from this Goomba so that we can go back to our super form, and now we can do spin jumps again. Now we'll run back to the left, and we can use our spin jumps to get each of these question mark blocks. The boss is very nearby, and we'll be able to get a flower here, and if you have fireballs for this boss, it is just too easy. Also, we can grab a Starman at the very end, and that will make getting to the boss without losing our firepower a little bit easier. So don't worry about hitting the enemies with your Starman, there are not 5 enemies here for us to defeat. And once you get to the pipe, we'll go through. Even if you're still invincible when you get here, it will wear off by the time you fight the boss. But with fireballs, as soon as you get the chance, just start rapidly tapping the B button, and you'll be able to roast this turkey. It's so simple. If you're small Mario, wait on the right side of the egg, and when the bird's foot touches the white cloud in the background, do a big jump straight up, and then 2 more quick hops should finish the job. That's the easiest way to defeat the boss if you don't want to take any hits, and you don't have fireballs. And with that, we now have the first of the 6 golden coins. If you ever run out of lives, you will lose all of your 6 golden coins, and you'll have to go through those boss levels again to get them back. It's arguable that you should maybe do all of the boss levels last after finishing the normal levels, but if you're ever getting close to running out of lives, you just have to come here to the Hippo Stage. Finishing the Hippo Stage could not be easier. Get into a bubble and just fly across the top of the screen all the way to the upper right corner, where you'll find the exit goal. There are actually 2 exits here, but you don't want to take the bottom door. Only take the top one. The top one will take you to the space zone, while the bottom one will let you out near the macro zone. It's a place you could have directly walked to. We'll press a button in this bonus stage and hopefully we'll get a good item. Maybe an extra life, maybe a carrot. Yeah, it looks like a carrot. That's pretty good. And you'll see that the upper door took us into the space zone, but we're not going to do that just yet. First, let's talk about how to farm extra lives. Jump into the bubble here in the Hippo Stage and float up to the upper left corner, where you'll find this box that always contains a 1-up. Then you can just press start and select if you've finished the Hippo Stage, and you will instantly exit and you can re-enter. You can just keep collecting that 1-up over and over and over again, so if you ever get low on lives, just come here. Something else that you can do is farm coins. Just below the starting point, you'll find this box that contains a money bag with 50 coins in it. If you just keep collecting those 50 coins, you'll reach the maximum of 999 in no time. Once you've reached the maximum number of coins, you won't be able to earn anymore, so we might as well spend them. And the only place you can spend them is in this cave near the starting point. Inside there are 4 slot machines, and there are different types of prizes that you can get depending on how many coins you're willing to spend. In the slot machine that costs 999 coins, you have a chance at getting 99 1-ups. We got 20 extra lives there, which is very good, but you can't get 99 in any of the other machines. Now that we're flat broke from gambling, let's go back to the Hippo Stage and actually explore it this time. We know that there's a 1-up in the upper left corner, and that's going to bring our total up from 69 to 70, and the maximum number of lives you can hold is 99. After that, any extra lives that you collect will not count. The bubble that you ride here is a unique item that only spawns in this stage, although there is a way to take it into other levels, which we'll look at later. If you get hit by an enemy or if you go down into the water, you'll lose the bubble. And down here we can find a fire flower, and of course over on the left we'll be able to grab our money bag, which will bring our coins back up to a little bit better level. You may have noticed that there's a way that we can go down here, so if you follow down this way, you'll see a block that you need to hit with a fireball, but then we can't get through because the space is too small. We'll need to take a couple hits from enemies and become Small Mario if we want to get in there. But that should be easy enough to do. So now that we are Small Mario, let's see what treasures are hidden behind that wall. Well, there are 3 question mark blocks here, and 2 of them contain extra lives. So 2 extra lives is not bad. The other block contains a coin, which is better than nothing, I guess. And out here, we can go back up to the hippo and ride another bubble. Over here, we can follow this trail of coins to the right, and the fish that pop out of the water with the big eyes and the beaks on their faces are called birdfish. Very creative. If you can land just on top of a birdfish, you can stomp it, even while you're in the bubble. And over here, we'll grab a few more coins, and we'll go between these 2 enemies, but we need to get back down into the water anyways, so getting hit by an enemy there was not a big deal. We'll find a mushroom down here, which would have been a flower if we were already Big Mario, but we were Small Mario, so that's what we got. Now we can take this bubble over here. There's a second hippo in the middle of the stage, and that will allow us to continue our trek to the right. There are some actual birds here, so watch out for the birds that are not fish. And just follow the coins down to the water line. There's another set of coins over here, so we'll grab those too, although grabbing coins, of course, is completely optional. So we'll follow the coins back up into the sky, and in this row of question mark blocks, we can find a fire flower, which we can use while we're in the bubble to rain fire down on the birdfish. So we'll pick up one of those, and then we'll continue over to the right. We are very close to the goal now, but don't miss this money bag hidden in a diamond-shaped cloud. And then there's just a few more coins over here on the right. Now, what if you get hit by an enemy and lose your bubble? Well, you don't want to take the bottom door, so you will need to go all the way back to the hippo in the middle of the stage, and you'll probably have to do that through the water. So watch out for the fish down here and swim back to the left. Along the way, you'll see a few question mark blocks, but these ones just contain coins, so they're not terribly exciting. And we'll just keep going until you see a rocky formation, and up on top of that is the hippo that we were searching for. Now that we have all the coins, we'll just go all the way to the top. The enemies will not reach you up here, and we'll just float over to the goal line. Whenever we get to the goal, we can take a look at the 2 doors. Remember, you only want to take the top door, but I'll show you where the bottom one is just so you can see what I'm talking about here. There's a big wall up above the door there, so that's why you need to have a bubble, and with it, you can easily ring the bonus bell, and we'll get to do the bonus stage again. Of course, it is the mouse chewing on wires bonus stage, which sometimes it may be better to just not do this one, especially if you already have the power-up that you desire. But this time we switched from a fire flower to a carrot, so that's not a bad deal. Of course, it wasn't a great deal because the bunny ears don't really work in outer space. You can't flap them to extend your jumps up here, but they will give you an extra hit if you get dinged by an enemy. The fire flower, on the other hand, works great in outer space, and we should find one of those pretty soon, but we won't find it in this next question mark block. It just contains a coin, and so does the one directly above it, but if you jump from this block all the way to the right, you can land on a block that contains an extra life, and above it are 2 more hidden blocks that contain money bags. Nice! From here, it's possible to do a big jump to the left, and you'll notice something interesting in the stars. it appears to be the letter Y. Well, without a Game Genie, you won't be able to see the entire word, but you can see it here on the map. That letter Y is the end of the word happy. Down here at the bottom, we'll find a question mark block that contains a fire flower, and because of the lower gravity, we can jump up to it, and then we can use it to roast that enemy, which is called number 48. Now you'll notice a rock formation here that seems to be pointing upwards. Well, that's actually pointing to a hidden 1-up, but to reach it, we'll need to jump from here to a hidden block, and then there are 2 more hidden blocks that we'll use to reach the extra life. So there's 1 more here, and we'll jump from there to the heart. Got it. Now we'll drift down below, hopefully clearing some spikes, and we'll land on these question mark blocks that contain some coins, while avoiding the enemy that patrols that block that has a moon on it. Over here, we're going to hit the mid-level goal, and once we've created a checkpoint, we're going to take a death. That's because there's another secret exit from Space Zone 1, and after we do the secret exit, we want to return here to this checkpoint instead of having to complete the entire stage again. So that's why we took a death. Over here on the left, we can get our fire flower back. Make sure not to jump over there too quickly when you get back into the stage, or you may not be able to get the power up. We'll find a series of hidden blocks here that will lead us up to these arches of coins, and then we'll carefully jump across them, which will lead us to the secret exit. So we'll just keep hopping across the coins, and as long as we can stay up on the top here, we'll be able to get to the door. And that's it. There's the secret exit from Space Zone 1, and you'll see this star hit the moon, and now the moon is angry. That is easily my favorite map animation in the game. In the Space Special, you're going to just find a bunch of coins, as long as you can stay up here on the top. If you fall down to the bottom, it may be difficult to get back up here, so be careful not to fall between the rocks unless you see one of these blocks that will allow you to get back up. So if you notice one of those, that means it's safe to drop down there, and we'll just continue across to the right. That little spaceship enemy is called a Poro, and there are a few of those in here, but they're the only enemies in the Space Special, so it's mostly safe. I guess there's also a star enemy at the very end, but once you get that far, you should be in good shape. So we'll continue over here to the right, and in this spot right here, you can drop down to get 2 extra lives, so that might be worth doing. Then we'll just hop back out, and we'll continue across to the right, where we'll see 1 more Poro, and then we'll just follow the coins to the goal. There's a 1-up that you can find at the very end. It's tricky to do without getting damaged by that star enemy, but it is directly above that block in a hidden box. And once you have it, we'll head back down to the bottom and exit back into the Space Zone. So this door will take us back to where we came from, but because we took a death after hitting the mid-level checkpoint here, you'll see that the mid-level checkpoint is active, and we don't have very far to go to get to the normal goal. So that trick is a nice time saver. The enemies down here are called Bamu Bamus, but as a kid, I always called them cannon pigs, because that's what they look like. We'll hop over another spiky post, and then when we cross this next spike field, we'll find a bunch of coins that are guarded by a Poro, and you can just stomp that little spaceship out, and then it only takes a few big jumps to grab all the coins. Make sure you're holding down the jump button so that you can really get up there. You'll also notice here in the Space Zone, once Mario has the spacesuit on, you can't do spin jumps. So you won't be able to use those against the enemies, and we're going to climb to the top of this pyramid and do a big jump to the right to reach the bell. There are also a few blocks above the goal that you can break with fireballs, but there's nothing hidden inside those. They're just there to help you reach the bell, and jumping from the top of the pyramid is much easier. Next up is Space Zone 2, which is where the boss of this area resides. So yeah, Space Zone is pretty small. This one has an incredible soundtrack to it, and it feels a lot like a scrolling swimming level. You'll be able to float through space and you'll need to avoid obstacles as you go, but you can just keep jumping if you want to elevate into the air. Of course, down at the bottom may be the safest place to hang out, especially if you're small Mario. You can just sort of stay at the bottom for a lot of this. You'll have to avoid a couple of enemies here and there, and you'll have to move eventually, but there's not a lot down here that will get in your way. The screen scrolls pretty fast in this zone, so you want to try to stay near the middle of the screen most of the time. You don't want to be surprised by objects that pop up on the right side, and you also don't want to get stuck on the left. There are some fire flowers that you can find here if you know where to look, and the enemy that looks like a puffer fish is called a tosenbo. That thing, you can just pass right through it whenever it's in its flat form, but whenever it puffs up, it can damage you. You can just roast it with a fireball if you have the fire flower. So we'll try to get that guy out of the way, and we'll continue through the middle here. So we'll just go through grabbing the coins along the way, and over here is another question mark block, although that one just contains a coin. Most of them over here contain coins. We're going to see a large array of question mark blocks here, and in the middle row you can find a fire flower, but in the bottom row you can grab a Starman near the end, and that Starman is going to make the rest of this stage a lot easier. You can just go right through these stars. Don't grab that mushroom unless you're small Mario. It could be a downgrade. We don't want to lose our fire flower. If you do get hit, there's another question mark block here near the end, and this power-up will be extremely useful against the boss, Tatanga. Now, if you stay down here at the bottom, Tatanga's fireballs won't hurt you. Back up to the lower left corner, and whenever the boss swoops down, just start shooting off your fireballs, and you'll be able to defeat him very quickly. But let's say that you're small Mario. Well, that's not that much of a problem. You'll also want to hide in the lower left corner, so you can move there whenever you want to, and whenever the boss is floating above you, do a big jump to the upper right corner, because he's going to swoop back in that direction, and we'll be ready for him. You'll just need to drop on him 3 times, and he will easily be destroyed. Tatanga was much more difficult to defeat in the first Super Mario Land, but now that we know that he works for Wario, it seems that Wario may have been pulling the strings the entire time. Now, what if I told you there was a way to skip the boss of the Space Zone? Lose your last life in Space Zone 2, and instead of continuing your game, when you get back to the title screen, press and hold up and A and then press select to go into the Hippo demo. Now you're just going to fly across this entire stage. You want to get to the other side, and whenever you complete this, it's going to count as finishing Space Zone 2. Sadly, the code to play the demo levels only works on older copies of the game, and it does not seem to work on the version that you can play on the Nintendo Switch. You'll also have to lose all of your coins to do this trick, so if you're going for this one, make sure that you're attempting the Space Zone first. Whenever we get into the game, you'll notice that the music is messed up, but that can be fixed with a quick reset. Whenever we go over to Wario's castle, you'll see that we have the coin for Space Zone. Now that we've finished the Space Zone, we're going to head to the Macro Zone next. And the first thing that we're going to do in the macro zone is a secret trick that will allow you to get a ton of coins very quickly. It'll also enable a shortcut. You'll need to be small Mario to do this, and you want to stand on this pipe and take a fatal hit just as you press down to enter the pipe. If you did it correctly, you'll hear the pipe sound effect. Whenever we re-enter Macro Zone 1, we're going to fall through the floor, and we're going to land down in a glitched out area. If you land in the right spot, you'll suddenly find that we're getting a ton of coins until we reach the maximum of 999. And then if we step in another spot, we can complete the level and enable a shortcut. So that'll take us to the macro special. Of course, if you step in the wrong spot, the game could crash or you might just randomly die, so you do need to be kind of careful when you're down in that glitched out area. Now that we have 999 coins, let's spin the wheel again and see what prize we receive. This time we got the 99 lives! That's awesome! Well, now that we have more lives than we'll ever need, let's head back to the macro zone, and this time we're going to do macro zone 1 the more conventional way. There are 2 exits from this stage, so we're going to do the secret one first, and we'll head on inside. It looks like there might be something to the left over at the beginning of the stage, but there's not, and we're just going to stomp on these ants and head on down the pipe. Here in the macro zone, it seems that there's sort of a reverse Honey, I Shrunk the Kids situation going on. It's not that Mario has gotten smaller, it's that everything else is enormous. Down here at the bottom, we can find a power-up, and because we were small Mario, it was a mushroom, but if we were already big Mario, it would have been a fire flower instead. This is pretty standard for the Super Mario series, but not all of the power-ups work that way in this game. Sometimes, like in this block here, you'll always find an advanced power-up instead of finding a mushroom when you're small. We're going to duck down to get under a wall here, and while the carrot can be useful, we can't do our spin jump now, so we're going to take a hit to restore that ability. There's some good stuff hidden in the blocks below our feet, if you know where to look. 5 blocks over from the right side there, you'll find another carrot, but we're going to need to lose this ability again if we want to be able to find more stuff in the blocks. So be careful of the ants that can make spikes pop out of their bodies unless you're trying to take a hit. We can find a fire flower. Now this ability will allow us to still do our spin jump. And 3 from the left there, we can find a 1-up. There's also a money bag hidden here. It's hidden in the block 6 from the right. So grab those items and then ring the mid-level bell to establish a checkpoint, and we'll continue to the right. If you're interested in taking the shortcut, you want to make sure that you keep the fire flower and don't get the carrot, because we're going to need fireballs to clear out some blocks that are in our way. Over here we can roast this ant, and we'll bump into these question mark blocks to get some coins, and then we'll just crouch down to get underneath those spikes and continue on to the right. Be careful when you're using fireballs here because it could damage the floor below you, and there are some hidden blocks that will get in your way there if you jump in the wrong spot. So you just want to run straight across to get down into this area where you'll find 3 extra lives. Pretty good. Now 3 extra lives are nice, but we already had 99, and although we did need the fireballs to get down there, that's not where the secret exit is. Nope, the secret exit is up above here, and we're going to duck down under these stalactites, and then we'll hop up this stairway formation and blast through that ant. Now the pipe up above, that's the one that we're trying to get to, and you'll see that it's blocked by 2 of those fireball blocks, which we'll need to burn through, and then you'll be able to get up to this level. Up here we'll see a few more ants, The ant with the construction hat is technically called a goronto, and I don't know Japanese very well, but I assume that means like construction ant. The macro special is a little bit different from some of the other special levels because this one is a shortcut. Most of the other special levels are bonus type stages where you can collect a bunch of coins or earn a ton of extra lives, but you can definitely die in here. This place scrolls rather quickly and there are a bunch of small platforms to navigate. You can find a hidden one-up in the fourth block from the right there, and if you want to grab some coins, do a spin jump to grind down to the bottom here, or you can just duck down and go underneath that small gap in the blocks. Over here we'll find another fire flower, and you'll want to make sure that you have that because there's a hidden one up here that you'll need the flower to get. Blast through these fire blocks and then do a spin jump on that question mark block to grab it, but don't get stuck whenever the screen scrolls you to the left. That could be death. If you can make it to the end, you'll be taken to the final stage of the macro zone, which is a big shortcut. But let's head back to macro zone 1 and take the long way around. We didn't die after hitting the checkpoint, so we had to start back at the beginning, but the beginning of this one is pretty easy and we're just going to breeze through. The ants that can make spikes appear on their back are called chaikuntos, and the ones that have cannons on their head are called dokantos. So, those are the different varieties of ants that you may encounter in here. We're going to grab the carrot because we don't need the fireballs if we're not going to go through the secret exit, and we're just going to quickly head across to the end. With the bunny ears, we can easily glide over these enemies, and we'll just continue on towards the end. There's a Goronto, and there's the mid-level checkpoint, so that's where we would have started if we would have taken a death after hitting it before. And if you need another carrot, you'll find one in the upper left corner there. We'll grab it just for fun, and then we'll ride this platform downward as we collect some coins. We know that the lower path here leads to some extra lives, but it's also a dead end, so we'll stay up here at the top, and if we do a big jump onto the platform here, we'll be able to ride it up to the bell, and that will get us the bonus stage as we cross the goal line. Very easy to hit that bonus bell, and this is going to be the conveyor belt bonus stage, which is the better of the two. You'll want to press the button just as the first heart disappears into the left chute, and it's not that precise, so you have some leeway here, but it is possible to mess that bonus stage up in such a way that you get nothing, but most of the time you'll be able to win the prize. We'll find a fire flower here at the beginning of Macro Zone 2, which we can use to fry some piranha plants, and also some deadly insects. That enemy that's up on the top row was called a battle beetle. We just went underneath it the first time, but we'll see more of those eventually. Keep working your way to the right, grabbing the coins as you go, and taking out the enemies. There was another battle beetle. They will take off and try to fly whenever you get close to them, but can be easily dealt with your fireballs. We took a hit there, but no big deal. There was a carrot just over to the left, although the fireballs are better for getting past those fish. Over here, we'll float over a Venus fire trap, and then we'll work our way up to this block, which contains a Starman. 1 enemy, 2 enemies, 3 enemies, 4 enemies, and we just need to hit 1 more to get an extra life. And can we get any more extra lives? We can. Nice. Over here, we can find another Starman, but we'll need to take a hit and lose our bunny ears so that we can do a little spin jump. We've already cleared most of the enemies in this area, so this Starman was almost certainly unnecessary, but it does feel good while you have it. And we'll work our way up here, and this is going to get us close to the goal line. Over on the right side, we'll see some of these bee flies which run away from Mario, And if you hit that block, you can find a fire flower. Now there's the goal, but we're not quite done yet because there's a ton of hidden coins up above. We'll go back to this watery area and you'll find a hidden block in the far left. We'll keep hitting these blocks in the air and they'll take us up here where we can run to the right to grab a bunch of coins. And if we drop down where this arrow points, we'll land right on the bonus bell. Pretty good. This is going to be the mice chewing on wires bonus stage again, and I'm starting to think that maybe the button on the far right is a safer choice so that we can try to avoid hitting the mushroom, although bad stuff can still happen. We got a carrot this time, which is good, perhaps one of the best things we could have received, and now we'll head into Macro Zone 3. In this one, we're just going to keep working our way to the right. You can find a carrot near the very beginning, and there are some Goombas here for us to squash. So we'll flatten those guys out, and those arrows that you see on the ground will push Mario in that direction, although you can push against it. It's not that strong of a conveyor belt. Up here at the top, we'll grab a few coins, and then we'll go back down through the pipe where these arrows will carry us to the right. After flattening out a pair of Goomba, we could go down this next pipe, but first, there's a few hidden blocks here, and up above, we'll find a small cache of hidden coins. So we'll add those to our wallet, and then we'll drop down below, where we'll find a bunch of Koopa Troopas patrolling some pipes. We don't actually want to kill off those enemies yet, because on the far right side we're going to find a Starman, and we want to just be able to plow through them for extra lives. So we'll just hop on their shells one time for now, and there's the Starman. And 2 enemies, 3 enemies, 4 enemies. 1, 2, and through this wall we'll find another enemy. That's 3 extra lives. And a money bag. Not bad. If we head all the way over to the right side, we'll be able to go up a pipe that will take us near the goal line. So we'll head up here, and there is your mid-level bell. If we continue to the right, we'll see some bee flies. No, I thought most bees could fly, so I'm not sure what's remarkable about these. But as usual, they just kind of fly away from Mario, so they're not that dangerous. You'll find a carrot here, and we can reveal a few more hidden blocks to get over to it. The goal line is just ahead on the right, but before we go up there, there's another extra life that we haven't found yet, so we're going to head back to the left. Most of the enemies have been cleared out, so we should be in good shape, and we'll jump from here over to this block, where we'll be able to get a 1-up. Now if we do a big jump and mash the jump button, we can just fly across all of this, and it should take us right back to where we were before. So here's where we got the carrot, and now we need to climb up to the goal. Try not to bump your head here, you don't want to fall down into those flames. But as long as you have the carrot, you can always flutter if you make a bad jump and try to find the next ledge below you. Just a couple more hops will take us to the goal, and the bonus bell is very easy to ring this time. Although in this conveyor belt bonus stage, if we hit the button after the first 3-up heart, we'll only get a single extra life this time instead of the usual 3. I know we already have 99 lives, but was it necessary for this bonus stage to start handing out worse prizes? Well, in any case, Macro Zone 4 is the final stage in Macro Zone. Whenever you reveal a 1-up heart in here, a small enemy called a collector will appear, and he tries to run away with it. We can stomp this guy and take that 1-up back. That's our extra life collector. You can't have it. Watch out for the spikes at the end of that conveyor belt, and continue to work your way over here where you'll find a carrot, and up above there's a hidden money bag as well as some loose coins. Over here we'll stomp that Goomba flat, and we can grab another 1-up, if the collector doesn't get it first. Now, we have so many extra lives at this point that we probably should donate a few to the less fortunate, but we're not going to give any to that guy. We can ring the mid-level checkpoint bell there, and the fire flower is much better against the boss than the carrot is, so make sure to pick that up. Down here, the conveyor belt works against us, but you can still run and jump to make your way across. We're so close to the boss now that we can probably smell it, because this is the sewer rat. As soon as the rat fully appears, jump high up in the air and start mashing the B button to launch fireballs. You'll defeat the rat in no time. As small Mario, hold right and A as you wait for the fight to start, and you'll automatically do a big jump that will land on the rat. And then you just have to maneuver Mario in the air so that he lands on the rat 2 more times. That's all that you need to do. Easy victory. And that is our 3rd golden coin, which means we are now halfway through the game, and the pumpkin zone is up next. Now, there's a shortcut we can do in the pumpkin zone, and if we've already finished macro zone 1, you can just go down in the first pipe, pause the game while you're in the pipe, and press select to exit the stage. This method of doing the trick will only work on older copies of the game and will not work on the version on the Nintendo Switch. When you enter Pumpkin Zone 1, you're going to drop straight down through the floor, and you're going to look for this spot over here, which seems to be on top of a piece of a pipe. If you get into the right spot, it will clear the stage, but you'll notice that it didn't actually clear it, it just took us to Pumpkin Zone 2. Sometimes that happens, which is strange. Now let's take a look at Pumpkin Zone 1 without doing the shortcut. There's a fire flower that you can find near the beginning, and when we drop down here, be careful not to touch that flashing spiky ball. Wait until it's going up to go under it, or just run underneath it as it's dropping down. The enemies that look like the decapitated head of Jason Voorhees are called guard masks, and that was our 200th enemy, so we got another free Starman. Not the best place to get it, but actually not as bad as the last place we got one. And up here you'll see some blocks that fade in and out of existence, sort of like the Yoku blocks from Mega Man, except these ones are never actually gone. You don't have to worry about them disappearing under your feet. When we head down this pipe, we'll ring the mid-level checkpoint bell, and we need to go to the right, but we skipped this section over here to the left, so we'll grab a couple of coins and then head back in the direction that we need to go. Run to get under those spikes that fall from the ceiling, and hop over the masked guards. Over here, you want to wait for this masked guard to come down to the bottom of the stairs, then you can bop them, and watch out for the spiked balls here, they are easy to bump into. So run under this one, and over here, you could go down this way to the goal, but there's another path up at the top, and you'll see a unique enemy up there, the vampire. The vampire can actually help us reach an extra life. Hold down the jump button so that when you jump on that bat, you'll get an extra boost upward, and there is the extra life we were looking for. Now we can head this way and hit the bell, and look at the way that bat fell out of the sky. That was kind of funny. Here's the conveyor belt bonus again, so we'll press it now, and that will get us 3 extra lives. Very good, although we can't actually have more than 99. Pumpkin Zone 2 is next, and this one is some sort of demon castle. That enemy that's sticking its tongue out is called a barrow, and you can actually jump on top of it. And this thing that looks like a foot with an umbrella and an eye on it, that's called a Kara. I'm not sure what kind of twisted magic has caused disembodied legs to come to life and start wearing umbrellas, but that's happening here in Pumpkin Zone 2. Up at the top we can grab some coins, watch out for the tongue side of the barrows, and if you go down into this pipe, you'll see this fish, which is called a blurps, and we're kind of getting blocked by some boxes here, but you can get out on the left side, and you'll also find a fire flower. We'll head over here to the left because we haven't investigated this area yet, but there's not much to see over here, just a couple of piranha plants. The way we need to go is over to the right, where we'll see another new enemy type. This one-eyed demon is called a Kiroro, because of course it is. We'll ring the checkpoint bell and we'll head down this pipe, and that will take us to an underground waterway. Our fireballs will take care of those blurps, although they can be tricky to navigate around without them. When we go up this pipe, there's going to be a few boos up here, so you need to be cautious of them. There's a mushroom over on the left, but we're not going to grab that because it's kind of a trap. We already have the fireballs, and that would be a downgrade, but we can grab the one up in the upper right corner. Up here, we'll find the pipe that leads out of this area, and we can use our spin jump to smash these blocks and grab whatever power-ups we want. Down at the bottom, we can get a carrot, there's a fire flower in the middle, and there's also a 1-up just to cap it off. Now you're saying that we didn't get a Starman out of that area? Well, there's a Starman right here, and whenever we grab it, we'll be able to run across the rooftops, taking out all of these demons along the way. And at the end of the rooftop, we'll find even more enemies. So try to take out as many as you can. And this time we earned 4 extra lives. Very well done. We almost crossed the goal line over there on the right side, but there's actually a secret exit underneath these barrow enemies down through the water. This is where we started over here. That's where we got the Starman. So if you swim down this way, you'll find a hidden water channel, and we're going to need to lose these bunny ears so that we can do a spin jump. So if we take any damage down here, we're just going to hurry through the enemies while we have some invincibility frames. And you'll need to be at least Super Mario to smash the blocks on top of that pipe, and that will bring us down here to the secret exit. This will take us to the first of 2 optional special levels here in the Pumpkin Zone, although this one's outside and so is the other one. In here, we'll be able to grab over 400 coins, although it might take all day to get them all. You have a carrot to help drift through these coins, so just grab as many as you can. You can bounce off the Paragoombas to get a little bit of extra height in your jump, and that'll vault you back up to the top so you can collect even more coins. The exit is right below the last field of coins, but there's more on the other side of it. If you can go all the way to the far right, you'll be able to find a Starman here. So we're going to get a few more coins and then we're just going to drop down. We'll jump over the goal and we'll head all the way to the far right where we can grab that Starman and just start plowing through Goombas. There are plenty of enemies for us to hit here. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1-up, and another 1-up, another 1-up. And it looks like time's gonna run out on our Starman, but there's the goal. So that's Pumpkin Special 1. I love the way the Pumpkin Zone looks like a Mighty Max playset or maybe some kind of Halloween-themed Polly Pocket. But in any case, we're back into Pumpkin Zone 2, and we didn't die after hitting the mid-level checkpoint, so we are starting back at the beginning this time. But that's okay, we're just going to run across these rooftops, and we'll flutter as far as we can to reach the mid-level bell and a pipe that leads down below. So it wasn't a huge backtrack this time. There's a few blurps waiting for us in the water. We'll just go underneath them, and we'll grab a few coins before heading up this pipe. In this part, we'll navigate around some boos again. Remember, if you're facing a boo, they won't come towards you, but once you turn your back to those ghosts, they will begin to chase. You can manipulate them a little bit though. So we'll grab that one up and we'll head up here, and on the other side of this pipe, we can grab some power-ups, or we can just get this one up because we already have the carrot. We'll take this Starman and we'll run through the enemies, and that's going to take us almost the whole way to the goal. So just keep running as fast as you can, and you should be able to knock off a bunch of these enemies. And what about the bonus bell? Well, if you want to reach the bonus bell, jump from here and flutter across to the right. You should be able to get onto this rooftop, and from there, reaching the bonus bell is trivial. Here at the goal line, we'll play the mouse chewing on wires bonus stage, and we're gonna hit this button over on the right and hope for the best. And oh no! We hit the mushroom. That is a downgrade. But before we go on, if you spin jump onto that first box and then go back into the pipe, you can actually walk through the wall. It'll take you back to where you started, so it's not super useful, but it is a fun trick. Here in Pumpkin Zone 3, we encounter Goomba ghosts. These appear to be the spirits of deceased Goombas, and I'm not sure if we killed those Goombas while they were alive, or if they've been haunting this location for some time. Either way, we want to avoid those guys, and over here we can find a hidden carrot, which could certainly come in handy. Keep making your way to the right. We'll go around the post in the middle of this small room, and over here, it looks like if you fall down here that you would die, but that's not actually the case. If you drop down here, you can actually find a fire flower, which is nice. And although there aren't very many other things to find down in these pits, if you were to fall down in, say, this one, there are some platforms that will help you get out. And there are ways to get out of any of these pits. So if you fall down here, you'll find a bunch of hidden blocks. These will help you climb out back to the top. So you'll find another block down here, and then we'll work our way around. And there's a third row near the very top, which will make it quite safe to cross over to the right. In the very last pit, there's just a few wooden ledges to hop up. And once you get over here, we're actually quite close to the end of Pumpkin Zone 3, but because there's another hidden secret exit, we're going to ring the mid-level checkpoint bell, and then we're going to take a death. We'll come right back near that bell, and now whenever we go through the secret exit and come back to this level later, we won't have to repeat that entire first section. Down this pipe we'll find a fire flower, so that'll get us right back into good status. And you'll notice that after you break through some of these blocks, you want to make sure that you go through the correct one, because there are hidden blocks in this area that can keep you from getting the other prizes. So I'll show you what I mean. Right here there's a row, but there's a missing block in the middle, and so that's why we went that way. And down at the bottom there's another one. So we'll clear these out, and the hidden row of blocks is right here. Those are just blocks that will get in your way, so you want to avoid them until you've collected all the items. You'll definitely want to grab the hidden carrot that can be found over to the right of this block formation. It's between these two flashing blocks. We'll want to use that to get to the secret exit. So we'll flutter over here to the right, and we're going to do a big jump across and just keep fluttering, and that will take you to this upper ledge. And there it is, the secret exit that leads us to Pumpkin Special 2. Now, if you thought the first Pumpkin Special was pretty good, this one contains 10 extra lives. 10 of them! You'll need to find them using fireballs in most places, but there are fire flowers that are easily found here. So we'll just blast through these blocks, and there's another one over here in this top row. So we'll break through and find that, and then there's another one up in this row, and you can find it there. So once you have those two, there are no hidden one-ups in that bottom row of blocks, so we'll come over here to the right. We can get this Koopa out of the way, and there's another fire flower if you need it. And be careful on these platforms because they will fall out from under you. Down here it seems that there's a hidden platform, although there's no good reason to go down there. It's actually quite dangerous to attempt that. There are 3 one-ups in this row of blocks, and that was the first one. And there's usually another one right near that Goomba enemy, and this one 4 from the right end. Over here, instead of jumping onto that platform, we'll blast out the fire blocks first, and then we can hop over with no pressure. Inside, we'll be able to get yet another extra life, and that's the 9th one. The 10th extra life is right here, just before the door. And that's it. 10 extra lives in the Pumpkin Special. Let's go back to Pumpkin Zone 3, and because we took a death after hitting that mid-level checkpoint, you'll see that we are very close to the end. So we just need to work our way across here. We can grab the carrot if we want to, and we'll just flutter down this way. We're going to take the lower path this time. That leads to the normal goal line, and you can see there's a formation of coins that form an arrow here. That is letting us know that there might be something hidden up above. That's where the secret exit was. This time we're going to be playing the conveyor belt bonus stage. So we'll press the button just as that first heart disappears into the left chute, and we won't have to worry about getting a power-up downgrade this time. Pumpkin Zone 4 is up next, and this is the final stage here in Pumpkin Zone. Here at the beginning, you may be hoping for a power-up, but there isn't one. Just this bouncing leech-looking enemy, which is called a Piku. As we work our way to the right, we'll go past some spiky balls, which we can just run underneath. We'll see another Piku, and when you get to this pipe, you can go down it, and down here, we'll finally find a power-up, a fire flower. You can also find an extra life in this question mark block. We can do a little spin jump on top of it to grab it, or you can hit it from below. This room is a dead end, so we'll head back up through the pipe, and this time when we come to the cauldrons, there are flames underneath them, and you don't want to touch those flames, they can damage you. We'll grab a carrot here, and you might be thinking that we would want the fireballs for the boss, but this is one boss that the fireballs don't work very well on. Just run to the right here and you'll be able to get past all of those broomsticks and traps. And when you get over to these shelves, hop on those masked guards, and once they're all cleared out, we can grab a few coins. There's nothing else hidden on these shelves though, so once you have the coins, continue to the right. Over here, we'll see some pipes between some brick walls, and sometimes when you drop onto them, you'll be stuck and you'll have to go down below. There are a ton of masked guards down here, but we can also collect some prizes. We'll reveal a fire flower through that pipe, and if we go up this one, we can reveal a money bag, although we already have the maximum number of coins. Now if we head all the way back to the left, we'll be able to get out of this lower area, and we can collect the items that we revealed. So we'll grab this fire flower, and then we'll grab the money bag, and we'll hop over that ghost, because it's time to face the boss, the witch. About 75% of the time, the witch will do a left, right, left pattern. So we'll wait for the witch to appear, and we're going to jump through the witch while it's flashing. Wait over here on the left, and we'll be able to get the last hit. You do not want to be standing on those cauldrons whenever the lids start popping off, because they can push you into the spikes above. If you're playing as small Mario, you may want to try a more conservative strategy and wait in the middle for the witch to appear and then jump on her. Watch to make sure that the lid you're standing on doesn't move up into the spikes, And you'll see that the witch did not do the left, right, left pattern this time, and instead did a left, left, right pattern. So it can happen, although left, right, left is much more common. And with that, we've earned the 4th of the 6 golden coins. Only 2 more to collect. With the pumpkin zone behind us, we're going to go to the turtle zone next. But we have so many coins right now, before we go on, we're going to do a little bit of gambling. There's no other way to spend your coins in this game, and we've seen the 999 coin slot machine several times. So let's take a look at the 200 coin machine, and this time we got 5 extra lives. This slot machine is not all puppies and rainbows though. You can definitely spend 200 coins to hit a witch, and then you get nothing. Good day, sir. And it can happen multiple times. The lower slot machines contain power-ups in addition to extra lives, and you still run the risk of getting the witch here. You also run the risk of getting a mushroom, which could be a downgrade depending on your current status, so you might not want to spin this slot machine if you have a good power-up. We'll take a look at the cheap slot machine here, and well, we got a flower, which is what we already had, and we probably should not spin that one unless we're small Mario. The first level of the turtle zone is usually filled with enemies, but there's a way to turn them all off. We can go to the first level of the pumpkin zone, or any other stage that we've completed that has a pipe that goes down. While you're in the pipe, press start to pause the game, and press select to exit. This is only going to work on an older copy of the cartridge. Now we're going to go to Turtle Zone 1. Wow, there's a whale and an entire submarine inside this turtle? How big is this thing? In any case, whenever you start up Turtle Zone 1, if you did that pipe persistence glitch, you'll fall through the floor and you'll appear down here in what seems to be a glitched out copy of Turtle Zone 1. Avoid touching the blocks at the very bottom of the screen and just try to swim across to the right. You will not find any power-ups here, but you also won't encounter any enemies, so you should be totally safe. If you're playing on a newer version of this game, there may still be ways to do the pipe persistence glitch. You need to be small Mario and take a death just as you go down the pipe. That should still work, and you'll be able to experience this same glitch. Over here is the goal, but if I'm being completely honest, there may actually be an easier way to finish Turtle Zone 1. We just need a carrot. There are no carrots in Turtle Zone 1, but there are many ways to bring one from outside, like playing the slot machine until we spin a carrot. And we have a lot of coins, but, well, we got it on the very first try this time. Not bad. So get a carrot any way that you can and go back to Turtle Zone 1, and we're just going to fly across this entire level. So get a good jump at the beginning and start flapping those ears, and we're going to flap over here where we'll find this area that contains a couple of boxes, a few coins, and if we jump from one of those boxes, we can flap all the way across the water over to the next platform. And from here, we'll just jump again and keep on flapping. You need to mash the jump button quickly so that you can keep those ears moving. And just like that, we've reached the goal line. It's really that easy. Well, I can see why the developers didn't want to hide a carrot in this level, but let's go back and finish it a more conventional way. We will fly over to this platform on the right though, so that we can grab the coins, and there's also 2 question mark blocks One contains a Starman, and the other has an extra life. And we'll see if we can hit enough enemies to get a few more extra lives. That Goomba makes 2. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do it this time. We'll just float over here where we can grab a fire flower, and we can use this to roast some of the fishes under the water. There are many different types of fish under the water, including blurps and cheeps, eels, and then there are what appear to be great white sharks that have sprouted arms and are wearing boxing gloves? Why would a shark wear boxing gloves? So that it could punch a fish? I would consider myself very lucky if I was only punched by a shark instead of bitten. Most of the smaller fish that you see can be blasted with your fireballs, but not the sharks. The sharks, of course, are fireproof, so you'll just need to swim around them. We'll follow these coins over to the right, and oh no, the shark got us. But luckily, there's a fire flower nearby, so we'll just grab it and continue on. Over here, there's a few more fish, and another shark patrols this area. We'll follow behind it, and then swim up here, where we can grab some coins between these rocky pillars, and a money bag too. The goal line is just beyond the next couple sharks, so we'll swim under that one, and quickly swim above this one. And there it is, but before we hit the bell, if you go down to the bottom, you'll see 2 question mark blocks, but how do we hit them? We'll need to be Small Mario. This blurps fish will do the job for us, and we'll find that there's a 1-up hidden in the farther box. Now that we have it, we'll hit the bell and head for the goal. It's time for another bonus stage. And what do we want to get this time? We certainly don't need more extra lives. A power-up would be nice. How about a carrot? Yeah, a carrot would be great. There's really only a few items on this conveyor belt that are looping around and around, so it's not that hard to time it up to get the item you want. Before we go on to Turtle Zone 2, we're going to do another shortcut, and to make this one work, we're going to head back to the Pumpkin Zone, because that's probably the fastest place to do this, although it can be done in any place where you can go down a pipe. So we'll go down this first pipe, pause the game and press select, and then we're going to head back to Turtle Zone 2. Obviously, we've done this before, but what's going to happen this time after we fall through the floor? Let's take a look. So when we go down through the floor in Turtle Zone 2, we're going to find a copy of the stage without enemies, and we've seen that before, but we will get stuck if we try to go through it the normal way. So what we want to do is go all the way down to the bottom here and try to swim over to the left. You'll get kind of blocked here, but you can make it over that way. So keep going and get near this pipe. That's usually where it is, and we found it. The tile that ends the stage. Now that is pretty cool, but let's take a look at Turtle Zone 2 going through it the normal way. And you'll see that there are more sharks with hands here, so avoid those. That bony fish is called a honebon, and you'll want to avoid that guy too. Speaking of enemies you don't want to touch, the ones that look like sea urchins, those are called unibos. You definitely don't want to touch those as well. There's a hidden carrot over in that left corner, so we'll grab that and we'll swim back to the right. What if sharks had hands in real life, and they could reach out and grab you while you were swimming in the ocean? That would be terrifying. Over here, we'll hit a few invisible boxes, one of which that contains a fire flower, so that we can collect it when we swim around to the other side. We took a hit, but that's okay because we want to become Small Mario to get through this small passage, and that's going to lead to a secret exit. As Small Mario will need to swim through this narrow corridor, So you'll just want to be patient and wait for those spears to retract. You can get under most of these Unibos, so just keep working your way to the right. This would be a great place to kill your 100th enemy so that you can have Starman through this passage. The shark is the last enemy here at the end. Now we have a clean path to the goal. And that'll take us up to the turtle special, and this one is outside on the map. In here we're going to see some blocks and coins that spell out Wario Land 2, but we'll be able to fix that W and turn it into an M so that we can spell the proper name of the game. We'll also find a 1-up hidden here, so we'll fix that and make those into an M, and up here we'll do a spin jump on the middle block to get that extra life. Nice. There are not very many enemies here, but there are some spikes, so watch out for those as you work your way across, collecting the coins as you go. There's the R, and here's a question mark block that contains a fire flower, and that's timely because we need it to get through some of these blocks. Over here we'll find a money bag, and then we'll just burn our way through these blocks to get to the right. After the L in Mario Land, you'll find a carrot, and that's going to help us glide across a big field of spikes near the end. But even if you fall into the spikes and take a damage, you'll be able to find a carrot or a fire flower at the very end, so you can easily get whatever power-up you need. One of the biggest dangers in the turtle special might be the timer. And as you can hear that tone, that means we have fewer than 100 seconds left, but luckily we're already at the end. So we'll grab our power-ups, I think we'll switch over to the fire flower, and we'll touch the door to end the stage. And that was the last secret exit in the game. We found all 6. Now we just need to finish Turtle Zone 2 the proper way. So we're back here in this missing submarine that was last seen off the coast of Bermuda before it was eaten by an enormous turtle and was never seen again until now. This level is large and it's a little bit of a maze, but it's nothing that we can't handle. If you remember from before, there's a hidden carrot over here, so if you need that, grab it, but the fire flower is probably going to be more useful. We're going to swim all the way over to the right here, avoiding the Unibos and watching out for a bullet bill cannon near the end, and when we bump into this area, we will reveal a fire flower that we can collect later. The last time we went through here, we took the secret exit, so we never actually grabbed that fire flower, but we will go into that room this time. Over here, we can hit these question mark blocks to reveal some coins. Nothing super amazing there though. And we'll kick this Koopa shell to the right and follow it down into the water. This box has a coin, so we'll hit that, and this one's a coin as well. And there it is. If we want to go to the left, we'll wait patiently to get underneath these spears, and then we'll be able to swim up here, where we'll find a bunch of coins and question mark blocks, but we'll also be able to get that fire flower that we opened up earlier. In a lot of the older Super Mario Bros. Games, if you revealed a power-up and then it went off screen, a lot of times it just disappeared forever, so it's nice that it doesn't work that way here in Super Mario Land 2. If you hit a box from underneath and need to take the long way around, that power-up will still be there when you arrive. A trio of coins can be found in these 3 question mark blocks, and once we have them, we'll swim up here where we can find a Starman over on the left side. A Starman is always a good find, and we can use it to plow through the Koopa Troopas that patrol this area. And there's a 1-up, and can we get another one? No, not this time, but we'll be able to ring the bell, which will create a checkpoint for us if we were to die. Now we're in the pipe maze. We'll need to work our way through the submarine's plumbing to get to the goal. Over here, we can take a hit from this spear, and once we become Small Mario, we'll be able to get a fire flower that's on top of a box in this small room. Over here, through this pipe, we can come up through and grab a coin, and then we'll head back to the right. Over here, you'll see that we've looped back around to where we were before, because the way we need to go if we want to get to the goal is down this pipe. Down at the bottom here, we can find a money bag in the box on the left side, so we'll definitely want to get that and pick up 50 more coins, and then we'll head through this pipe, which will take us onto the left side, and then we can work our way over to the outside. This question mark block contains another coin, but if we go down this pipe, we will be very close to the goal. Don't bump into that Unibo, and head through this pipe, which will take you to the final stretch. A pair of spears guards the goal line, but with a little bit of patience, we can get past them with no incident. And here you'll see there's a couple platforms that we can ride up to the bonus bell, and with that, we've completed Turtle Zone 2. We'll press the button just as the first heart completely disappears into the left chute to grab 3 more extra lives, adding to our total, which is already at the maximum. And that's going to take us inside the whale for the final stage of the Turtle Zone. The monsters that appear to be diving helmets that have come to life are just aquatic Goombas. Over here, we'll see this material that you can actually fall through, but you can also sort of swim up through it. So use that to your advantage and make sure to grab the carrot power-up. Don't touch the spiky teeth that line the ceiling and the floor in this area. You can take damage if you touch the point, and over here you'll find the mid-level checkpoint. Wait for that aquatic Goomba to get out of the way, and then we'll be able to grab a fire flower from this question mark block, which will make things a lot easier. We can now roast a couple aquatic Goombas and some Koopa Troopas, and we'll grab these coins, being careful not to touch the spiky teeth. This watery pool is enclosed by a material that you can also swim through, so swim up and down through it, grabbing any power-ups that you need, and collecting coins along the way. You cannot use your fireballs against that bony Honebon fish, so just try to avoid it. And we'll just keep working our way to the right. We are very close to the boss now, and if you can hold fireballs the entire way, the boss will be too easy. This is the Octopus. The boss is going to pop out of that center pot, and you just want to swim right up next to it and rapidly roast it with your fireballs. Got him! As Small Mario, you need to be careful of some features on the ceiling there that will block your jumps. You want to stay in the middle, jump, swim back to the left, then jump on the octopus again. Swim back to the left and then jump over to the right one more time. Don't try to hop on this guy too quickly, or you may take damage and die. And with that, we now have 5 of the 6 golden coins. The only one that remains is in the Mario Zone, and it's guarded by the most difficult world boss of them all. But before we go into the Mario Zone, you probably won't be surprised to find out that there's another shortcut we can do. And we're going to start out here in Pumpkin Zone 1, where we can go down a pipe, press start and select to exit the stage, and then we'll head on into the first level of the Mario Zone, where we will promptly fall through the floor. For this one, we just want to go straight down. I think it helps to have fireballs. I'm not 100% sure, but that does affect the top layer here, and it's right in this spot. If you find the perfect spot, you should clear the stage and you'll be able to move on to Mario Zone 2 but you'll notice that it didn't actually clear Mario Zone 1 this time, so you gotta be careful about going backwards. Well, let's jump into the first zone and do it the normal way. Here at the beginning, we're going to climb up some cogs, and most of them are stationary, but the smaller, thinner ones are moving, and they can push you around a little bit, but usually it won't be a big problem. You'll be able to leap off of them in seconds. And up here we'll find a pipe that will lead us into the next area, where there are more stationary cogs and more moving ones. These ones will push you down to the bottom, and there are some spiky traps down there, but usually not directly below the moving cogs. Super Mario OSHA mandates that you should never put a spike underneath a moving gear, but they did violate that in at least one spot, right over here. So be careful of that spiky spike and work your way to the right. If we head over here, we can take a look at the area below, but we're headed for this pipe that will take us to the mid-level checkpoint, and there's a carrot we can use to float over to it. Otherwise, it's difficult to hit this bell without taking damage. In this next segment, we'll hop over some Koopas, and then we'll encounter some screws that have come loose and have become animated, which can't be good. We can deal with these by jumping on them, but we'll probably want them to be put back in place before the structure of this robot collapses. There's a fire flower up on this row of question mark blocks, and not only will that help us with the enemies, but we can also use it up here to burn through some blocks on the left side, and that's going to lead to a nice cache of coins as well as an extra life. So we'll just keep blasting through the blocks here, and then we can smash through the ones above. And here are those coins that I was talking about. Now the extra life is at the very end, and you'll find it in one of the last blocks that you'll need to burn to get out of here. So we'll heat up these blocks and come over to the last two, and there is the extra life. That bouncing razor blade is called a Tatanoko, and up here we'll find a carrot which we can use to collect these coins near the goal line. Be careful of the spikes that you'll see in the air here, and just keep fluttering your ears to slowly descend. The bonus bell is directly below. You could just drop down without hitting the bonus bell, but if you want to get the coins, the carrot will really help out. And we can float through over here, and there's the goal line. Ring the bell and we're in the door. In here, we'll grab another extra life from this crane game. And does anyone else think it's weird that after Mario got his own island and built a castle, that the next three structures he commissioned were a Mario-shaped Gundam robot, a huge Halloween pumpkin, and a house for the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk? Like, how about a basketball court or a swimming pool, Mario? You're never gonna beat Sonic at the Olympic Games if you don't practice. In any case, Mario Zone 2 takes place inside the robot's bubble room? Yeah, I don't know why there's a chamber filled with bubbles in here, but there is, so we're going to have to work our way through it. Stay in the top part of this area because there's some spikes down below, but even if you did fall down there, the spikes don't completely cover the ground, so you might get lucky and land in a good spot. Now you may be wondering how we get that one up, and the answer is to go down this pipe, which will take us down below where we can roast a couple of Goombas that are in our way, and definitely watch out for this one. Jump up on the side of it, and you'll find the pipe that leads to the one up right here. Now from here, there are a couple of other prizes down below, so we can't go down this pipe, but if we go down this one again and then jump up through that rotating checkered post, there's an item hidden between these four bubbles in the background on both the left and the right side. This one's a Starman, so that's pretty good. We'll take our invincibility and work our way to the right, where we can plow through that bear on a ball, and we can walk right over these spikes with no danger. We missed a couple of coins there, so we'll head back to collect them, And we'll hit this bear, which was our 300th enemy. And we got another Starman. And this is a great place for a Starman. There's a bunch of enemies here that we can run through, but we'll take our time and collect the coins as well. We were able to get an extra life out of it, so of the 3 times we got the bonus Starman in this guide, I'd say that was the best one so far. We're almost to the goal line, and over here we can choose our favorite power-up. If we go all the way on the left, we'll find a mushroom, but over here on the right we can find a carrot, and the one just to the left of that had a fire flower for us. You can jump up through those rotating posts, but you can't go back down through them, so it's sort of a one-way deal. After hopping on the bear, we'll ride this slow-moving ball over to the right, and here's another bear, but if we just jump from here, we can flutter over to the bonus bell, and that's it for Mario Zone 2. We have the mice chewing on wires bonus stage here, and if I'm being completely honest, sometimes I think we might be better off just not doing this bonus stage. We wouldn't risk getting the mushroom, and we already have plenty of extra lives as well as a good power-up. So, if you have a carrot and 99 lives, it might be worth skipping it. Be careful as you hit the question mark blocks here. The one on the end contains a jack-in-the-box enemy, which is a mean surprise. Over here we can take a ride on this metal ball, which follows along the chains in the background and eventually will stop, flash, and disappear. So you'll need to get off of it eventually. If you have the carrot, you can just flutter over most of this, but there's only a fire flower at the beginning of the stage. You won't find a carrot until a bit later. Over here, watch out for the bullet bill cannon as you ride on the ball up to this point. It will stop there and you'll need to disembark, and then we can ride this one over to the right. We'll hop off here and get onto another cannon, and here are some moving floors. So crouch down on this conveyor belt and you'll be able to get under those spikes, and that robot enemy is called a Kiddo Kato. With a name like Kiddo Kato, you might think that it was some sort of rejected Japanese mascot for Kit Kat bars, but no, it's just some sort of little robot guy, and you'll want to just hop on those or blast them with fireballs. Up here we'll find a few more coins as well as an extra life, and then we'll drop back down where we can find a carrot over here on the left. So if you need a carrot, grab one over there, and then we'll head over here to the right where we can ring the mid-level bell to create a checkpoint. And there's another one of those jack-in-the-boxes. You may just want to leave that guy inside the question mark block. Hop on this Kiddo Kato before moving forward, and then crouch down to ride under the spikes. And look at that! It's the crane from the bonus game! If you just stand right on the crane, it will grab you, and then it can carry Mario across the spikes. It will release him at the end, so you'll want to jump off when you get near the last spike. There are a bunch of cannons down in this pipe, so watch out for those as you work your way to the bottom, but we can find an extra life down here. Once you have it, head back up. We'll duck underneath this cannon until it fires a bullet bill over Mario's head, and then we should be in the clear to get back to the pipe. You can just run across those spikes, and you can flutter across that last spiky field if you have the bunny ears. Of course, you can flutter across all of those if you have the ears. You don't really need to use those cranes at all. There's another jack-in-the-box. We'll roast it with our fireballs, and then we'll ride this spiky ball up above these two cannons, and we'll hop off right about there. Here's a crane that will take us over to the bonus bell, so just patiently ride it to the right, and we can jump off here to reach the goal. Another level, another bonus stage, and appropriately, it's the crane game here. I like the way that the developers used the crane from this bonus game in another way here in that last level. That was a very creative thing to do. And that brings us to Mario Zone 4, the final level here in Mario Zone. That last golden coin is so close to within our grasp. Looking around here, you may think, oh, that's pretty neat. They made the level out of Lego bricks. Well, not exactly. These are supposed to be N and B blocks, which are a knockoff Lego that Nintendo made back in the late 60s and early 70s. And you'll see a little thing for that here where it says N and B on the wall. Now, I had never really heard of N and B blocks before, but I looked them up and yeah, they are very similar to Lego. They have a few shapes that Lego doesn't offer, but the basic bricks, yeah, those are almost identical. In any case, the good news is that this level is very short, so once you collect the coins over here, we're going to head back to the left and we'll climb up a stairway made of N and B blocks, and we'll avoid a few Goombas along the way. When you get to the top here, you're going to find a question mark block that contains a fire flower, and if you can, you would really like to keep the fire flower for the boss. That's going to make things a lot easier. So if you don't have one, grab that one, and there is another fire flower a little bit later, just in case you make a mistake. There are a few black Bamu cannon pigs in here, as well as the saw blades that you would expect to see coming out of Lego bricks. Don't miss the hidden money bag down here at the bottom. We'll just duck underneath this saw, grab the money, and wait for it to pass back to the left. And then we'll continue on to the right, because after avoiding a few more obstacles and roasting one more Goomba, we'll find the pipe that leads to the boss, the 3 little Pigheads. This time there's not only one boss, there's 3! Now with the fireballs, you don't even really have to move. As each pig appears, just roast it with your fire, and you'll easily be able to defeat these guys. It's really that easy. Without fireballs as small Mario, it's a little bit more difficult. You'll want to stay on one of the sides. The pigs will do a few different patterns. The first one just rolls back and forth, and it needs to change direction whenever it hits the edge of the screen, so that's a great place to stomp it. You'll need to hit it 3 times, and then the second pig will emerge. This pig does little hops as it moves back and forth, and you'll want to stay on the side of the screen for this one as well. The last pig does larger hops, and you can get in a very nice cheap hit as soon as it drops out of its brick house. Now watch for it to be moving downwards, and that's when you want to do a big jump and try to land a hit. 3 more hits is all it takes. And with that, we now have the final golden coin. There's all 6. And when all 6 golden coins are in place, the door to the castle opens. Now I gotta ask, was this the only way to get into the castle? Like, if Wario had wanted to leave, would he have been locked out? And how did he get into the castle in the first place? Did Mario just leave the 6 golden coins in the door when he went off to Sarasa Land? Well, in any case, before we go on to the castle, there is one more stage that's randomly located out on the map. This one's completely optional, and it's filled with Goombas. It's also scrolling for some reason. This level is not very challenging, and is made even easier if you have a fire flower. If you don't have one, you can find one in this stage. And we're just going to go around roasting the Goombas. Eventually we'll find a Starman so that we can clear them using that, and maybe even rack up a few extra lives. The best thing about the Goomba stage is this is a good place to raise your enemies defeated counter so that you can get a Starman in a strategic location. So just keep defeating the enemies and you'll find a few more coins as well as another fire flower near the very end. And there it is. And once you get to the door, this stage is done. And that's it. We've completed all of the regular stages and only have Wario's Castle left to go. Now I have to warn you, Wario's castle is way more difficult than any of the other stages we've played so far. It's not Ukulele and the Impossible Lair difficult, but it is pretty tough on the scale of this game. This large object called a satellite swings back and forth, and these statues spit fireballs. Run under that satellite, but then stop running when you get over to these statues. You can duck under a lot of the fireballs, but just do small hops to get across there, and wait for this statue to go forward to the right, jump over it, and then hop over here. Wait until this one goes to the left and then quickly jump over to the right, and that will bring us to the next area. There are no checkpoints in Wario's castle. You'll need to complete it all in a single run, including the boss. There is a power-up here though before you go through this pipe, and if you're Super Mario or otherwise, you'll need to duck under the wall there, and then hop up here, quickly run over to this platform, duck under, jump, and then just walk off the ledge onto this one. You'll need to quickly hop off again at the edge. In this next room, if you step on certain pressure plates, it will make punching fists appear. So you can actually get under these by running whenever it's going upwards, but if you just jump over the middle block in each of these formations, the punching fists won't appear. Now jump across here, and in this part you just need to run over to that last one and do a hop at the end. Don't run as you jump across those platforms. That's the best way to make it across there. If you've made it this far, you're in good shape. The last bit is actually quite easy if you know what you're doing, and there's a power up here if you need it. So enter this room and you're going to jump onto the first platform and then just run to the right. Jump onto the first platform, run to the right. And do the same thing here. You'll make it across without jumping. In this room, hold down right and B, and you'll make it past all of these falling Kara-Minbo enemies with no problem. Now, this floating face takes either 2 hops to defeat, or you can clear it with 1 spin jump. And whenever you get into the next room and have to fight 2 of them, spin jumps are definitely the way to go. So make sure you're in a good position, and spin jump, that takes out 1 of the faces, and another spin jump will get rid of the other one. Now we just need to defeat 2 more of these floating faces, and we'll be on our way to Wario. This is it, the final boss. Grab a power-up from this box if you need it, and head through the pipe. It's time to face Wario. As soon as the fight begins, run to the right and jump onto the throne. If you get there fast enough, Wario will jump into your feet and take damage. He'll actually defeat himself. But we're not done yet. Grab this carrot if you need it and head on into the next room. Wario gets enhanced with a carrot of his own. Run towards the statue in the middle of the room, get Wario to drop down, and as he drops, jump onto him. You can actually jump through Wario while he's flashing, and with a little bit of good timing, you can easily land 3 hits. For the final form, aggressively run forward and do a big jump onto Wario's head. Then quickly do 2 more stomps to finish the battle. And that's it! We've done it! We've defeated Wario! But what if we were small Mario? Let's take a look at another strategy. If you don't get to the throne fast enough, Wario may not jump into Mario's feet, so you want to jump to the throne anyways, and then just look for a good opportunity to jump onto the boss. Watch out for that floating flask in the sky. That can damage you, or it can drop on you, and you also need to be careful to stay in the air when Wario lands from a jump, or you may be temporarily stunned. For this form of the boss, if you stay on the far left or right side of the screen, Wario will never fly all the way over there, and he will drop down before he gets close enough to smash Mario. So wait for him to drop and hop onto him, and you should be able to score 3 hits. The final form is the most difficult one as small Mario. Just try to be very aggressive, jump onto Wario's head as soon as the battle begins, and try to get the 2 more hits that you need right away. And that's it. We've done it. We've defeated Wario as Small Mario and beaten the game once again. But before we go on to the ending, there are still 2 more amazing tricks that we need to look at. The first of these tricks is the bubble glitch, and this trick is done by jumping into a bubble here in the Hippo Stage and pressing start and select to exit just as Mario enters the bubble. If you got it, you'll be able to take this bubble into other stages, and you can see that it appears to be glitched out whenever you're not in the Hippo Stage. It still works though, allowing Mario to fly around with ease. So let's take a look at it again so you can see the timing. You just want to try to jump maybe on top of the hippo and walk into the bubble. There's several ways of doing it. I like this method. Hop on there, and that's the timing. So that's when you need to press start and select to exit. And if you got it right, there's an even better way to use this glitch. That's right, we can take it to Wario's castle. Having the ability to fly through Wario's castle is pretty awesome. It's sort of like having the P-Wing from Super Mario Bros. 3. It also gives you an extra hit, although you lose the bubble whenever you take damage. But it's even better than that, because if you know what you're doing, there's a way to use the bubble glitch to create a shortcut here in Wario's castle. What you want to do is go pretty far to the right, almost to the very end where the pipe is that takes you to the next section. And then you want to turn back and start going to the left. You want to move fairly quickly as you're moving to the left, because we're trying to build up as many of these fireballs on the screen as possible. Some enemies may become invisible while you're doing this, so watch out for those, and you'll need to have a fire flower equipped. When you get right about to this window, start firing off fireballs, and if you did it right, Mario will suddenly go up through the ceiling. If you just go to the left here, you'll be taken to Wario's room, but if you swing out to the right first and get kind of smashed by the top of the scrolling screen as you touch the left wall, you'll be taken to a glitched out version of Wario's room instead that looks like this. If you got the glitched out room, you can still fight Wario like this, although you need to be careful because there could be some invisible obstacles that could damage you. Once you finish the first phase of the battle, the next 2 rooms don't look as messed up. However, once we actually defeat Wario the 3rd time, that's where things get interesting again. So we'll take our time here and try to defeat this form of the boss without taking damage. Being able to fly with the bubble glitch definitely helps, and we'll just need 1 more hit, and that should do it. Wario with the fireballs is actually very easy to defeat if you still have the bubble. We're just gonna fly up above him and bop him 3 times. He won't be able to reach us with his fireballs. 1, 2, and 3. And that's it. We've defeated Wario again, but because this room was all glitched out, whenever he throws his shoe at us and runs away, well, this time the game freezes up. Yep, we just keep floating up here, and now we're stuck. So you'll have to reset if you do this. Even weirder, if you wait long enough, the ending music will start to play while Mario is still stuck here in the upper right corner of Wario's castle. So we're just kind of hanging out here in a bubble, and eventually the music will catch up. There it is. So I guess as far as the game is concerned, it thinks it's playing the ending right now, which is super strange. But we still have 1 more trick to do, and this is the credits warp. It's actually possible to get to the game's ending without finishing very many levels at all. So you'll need to complete the introductory stage, and then we're going to walk over to the Pumpkin Zone, and we need to finish Pumpkin Zone 1. So we're going to quickly complete that one. I need to warn you that this trick could potentially corrupt the other save files on your cartridge. It's never happened to me, but I can see how it could happen. This will also only work on older copies of the game. Once you finish Pumpkin Zone 1, get a mushroom so that you are Super Mario, go into a pipe, and then press start and select to exit. Now we're going to drop down, and you want to hold right as you're falling here so you go up against this wall, and then drop straight down under the wall. If you land in the wrong spot, you'll accidentally clear the stage, and you don't want to do that. Instead, you want to go down through this pipe, and then hold down again to drop down to this point. Hold right and jump over here, and then just keep holding down and right so that you go underneath that box. Go left and hop down here, and we're looking for a pipe down here at the bottom, so keep going left, and here it is. You can only go into the right side of this pipe, and you want to make sure you enter the rightmost side of it or you'll freeze up the game. Keep going to the right, and we're looking for a piece of a pipe near a question mark block, and this is it right here. This is the hardest part. Press down and B to scroll the screen down and try to get into this position. Now we need to run to the right and press down to slide. And we want to slide into the right position, but we don't want to slide too far. So start right about there on the left side of this question mark box and try to get in this exact spot where Mario's foot is lined up with that brown line on the pipe. So you can see that that's the spot. If you're in the right spot, release down and press start to pause on the first frame when Mario pops up. Now you're going to hold down, unpause and start holding down and B, and then release down but keep holding B when Mario goes past the first question mark block. And when you get down here, you're just holding right until you get down to this spot. And then you can start holding down and A, and you should drop through all of this mess. And if you're in the right place, you'll be able to plow down to the floor. Now, all of this glitched out junk that you see on the screen is actually a visual representation of the game's program, and when you get down here, we can find a block that corresponds to the game's ending. Now, we need to go a couple screens to the right, but if you have trouble transitioning the screen, jump towards the edge and tap down when you're in the middle of the screen, and that should get it there. Whenever you drop off here, you need to do a big jump over to the right, or you could fall through the floor and get stuck. And over here, we're going to find the spot that we're looking for. So keep working your way over, and when you see those two pipes down in the bottom of the screen, that's it. This block that's 3 over from the left pipe corresponds to the game's ending, and whenever you break it and then press start and select to exit the stage, if you re-enter any level, the game will immediately skip forward to the ending. Now, you may have noticed that this is the music for Pumpkin Zone 1 and not the proper soundtrack for the game's ending, but otherwise, that's it. We've done it. We've beaten Super Mario Land 2 6 golden coins. All we can do now is sit back, relax, and enjoy the cheesy ending. And I'm going to cut over to the ending with the proper music so that we can appreciate what it's actually supposed to sound like. With a quick flip of the Wario W into an M for Mario, and a flag that marks the ending, everything is now back to normal, and our quest is over. This game brings back a lot of memories for me, and while the original Super Mario Land is a good time, this game is so much deeper and feels a lot more like a fully fleshed out Mario experience. It's hard to overstate how magical the Game Boy was back in the late 80s and early 90s. Before I had the Game Boy as a child, long car rides would be painfully boring. I'd have little workbooks that contained word searches or crosswords, but even that could make you feel ill if you looked at it for a long enough time, while the Game Boy could provide hours of entertainment as long as you had enough batteries. The Game Boy was also pretty reasonably priced at around $89 and included Tetris, and I just remember dumping out my piggy bank and counting up all of my money. I definitely came up short, but I did get a Game Boy a year or two later for my birthday, so it all worked out. Before the Game Gear, there weren't a lot of competitors to the Game Boy. It was leaps and bounds better than the self-contained portable games that were made by Tiger Electronics. But the games on the Game Boy were typically like lesser versions of the ones that you would play on a home console. But Super Mario Land 2 was different. Sure, it didn't have the depth of Super Mario World, but it was pretty close. There are secret exits to the levels, and lots of interesting things to find. There are new bosses to fight, interesting new game mechanics like taking Mario to outer space, and the treasure hunt for 6 golden coins was new and interesting, although it still felt appropriate for the Super Mario series. But the real legacy of Super Mario Land 2 is Wario. It's sad to think that if this game had never existed, we would have never been introduced to Bizarro Mario or any of his evil schemes. There'd be no Wario Land, no Wario's Woods, and no WarioWare. So while Wario may be a bad dude, the world is a better place for having him. Well, I hope this video was able to help you finally beat Super Mario Land 2's 6 golden coins, returning the world of Mario Land to its rightful ruler. If it did, make sure to give it a like, and be sure to subscribe for more episodes. Because there will always be more childhood rivals trying to claim our kingdoms, and that's why we'll be back again next week with another video game you can beat. Thanks for watching.